The artwork on the box top of model aircraft and models in general is very important to the sales of the model. The better the artwork looks, the more inclined you are to buy the model. When model airplanes first became popular, the artwork was fairly basic, and over time it became more and more involved. Eventually, the artwork became borderline masterpieces. Some companies preferred to put a picture of the finished model or a photograph of the actual aircraft on the box, but most companies went with the artwork. Often the larger the model in scale, the more expensive it was, so the more elaborate the artwork. Some of this stuff was truly amazing. So I've decided to go over 10 of my favorite box top artworks. The Aurora Model Company is one of the few to do civilian aircraft, and they managed to involve the excitement of travel along with the feeling of the hometown airport. As a result, I was able to identify closely with the Aero Commander. The idea of people boarding an aircraft, getting ready to go somewhere while one is flying off, while looking at it from almost underneath the wing of another one, was just very exciting. I always enjoyed this piece of artwork. And that Rockwell logo on the nose of the airplane right up in your face, something about that just spoke to me. So it's no surprise that my next choice was a sister kit to the Aero Commander, the Aurora Beechcraft Super 18. Pretty much the same applies. My brother had both of these kits, and I always loved the artwork on both of them. The DC-9, the reflections on the asphalt showing that it's probably just rained, it sort of invokes the romance of travel. I eventually became an airline pilot, so this is something I've actually done many times. That made the artwork something I identified with. It's another one that I just always loved. The Rockwell 1/32 scale F4F Wildcat. This is the Dash 4 model with the folding wings, and I have this kit on my shelf. Also, my brother built this one when I was a kid. Of course, when I was a little kid, I couldn't afford the big, expensive 1/32 scale kits. Why, they were $3. I always loved this artwork, which I believe is supposed to be taking place at the Battle of Coral Sea, judging by the markings. You can see the bombs going off, yet here we have two fighters patrolling like they own the sky, exuding confidence in battle. The Wildcat may not be a thing of beauty to some people, but it is to me. And to me, this artwork with the aqua green ocean against the light blue airframes with the white clouds and the bursting explosions in the background, it's just a magnificent contrast. Again, very well balanced. I love this artwork. This small Aurora Grumman F9F Cougar was something that my brother had on his wall when I was a little kid. The angles of the aircraft are of course very exciting, but it was something about the contrast, that pink sky and the sense of going fast. It was just really, really good. It always spoke to me. Again, a lot of people might consider this one of the more basic ones, but there was just something about it that always made it one of my favorites. Since I always wanted to be a military pilot, Aurora's T-37 Tweet was one that I always appreciated. And the idea that you see the student and the instructor heading out to the aircraft, I could just see myself there in a few years. So it's not hard to understand why this one always warmed to me. The artwork is perfectly good, but it's the set piece against the western mountains and the sky and just the whole idea of what's going on. It perfectly personified who I wanted to be. The Rockwell 1/32 scale BF-109G Gustav was a piece of art that I always loved. It had that dark, gloomy sky, which was foreboding, while the pilots are taking off into the unknown. It was very emotion-evoking. You could feel the cold of the snow. There was something about this that just got everything right. The Rockwell 3-in-1 kit. This was 3 freedom fighters of World War II. This is yet another one that was on my brother's wall. And the reason it appealed to me was different than most of the others. First off, because one of the aircraft is fighting in China, the other in Poland, and the other one in Sweden. These were countries that as a young boy I really did not know anything about, so they were mysterious. The Polikarpov looked like he was in big trouble with that Japanese fighter coming up at that angle. Meanwhile, the PZL looked like he was out for a day of fun flying, but the one that really captivated me was the Fiat CR42. First off, the camouflage pattern with that beautiful Swedish blue and gold insignia on the side against those striking alpine mountains was just a thing of postcards, and I was thinking, man, that must be a beautiful place to fly. Of course, I was too young to realize those pilots were probably freezing half to death, but still, I always found it a very appealing piece of artwork. It made me want to go fly in the Alps. Speaking of the romance of aviation, I do not think anything better encapsulates it than the flight of the Lone Eagle, Charles Lindbergh. And this old kit by Hawk, whose artwork shows him over Paris headed for Le Bourget, always spoke to me, not only because of the importance of the flight, but because of the pure romance behind it. You can just feel the history as Lindbergh makes his way to Le Bourget on a night that changed the world, while the Eiffel Tower quietly awaits him. How can a hopeless aviation romantic like myself not love this one? Spitfire, Mark I. I remember this being on the wall of my brother's room, and I was always enamored with it. It is, in my opinion, the finest box art ever done, not only because of the extremely high quality of the artwork, but also because of the colors and the juxtaposition. You get an almost profile view of the Spitfire in a beauty angle, yet it's contrasted against the white underside of his wingman in a hard turn, giving you a beautiful look at the outlines of the airplane from below. The camouflage contrasted against the white underbelly of the other aircraft, against the blue sky with the contrails. To me, this is the most balanced and perfectly done box top in model airplane history. Well, these were my top 10, and believe me, I had to fight with myself over some of the ones I left out. Here are a few honorable mentions. These are just my opinion. What are your favorites?